Good morning and welcome to another episode of Josh and Pat. I'm Joshua Klein, joined by Patrick Cassett, and Kyle Van Noy is a Raven for 2 more years. Now, this comes off a interesting offseason for the Ravens where maybe some guys that we wish would stay around are no longer there. But you bring back Kyle Van Noy and he kind of stops the bleeding, Bring him back, say 2 more years, assimilate into Ravens culture a little bit more, and I think we're going to be good. Patrick, what do you think of this deal, and do you think this is the right step for the Ravens to make after we know we have some needs?
Yeah, it definitely is a step, and happy to have Kyle Van Noy back for another season because, look, if he could give us 9 sacks in, what did he play, 12 or 13 games? My math tells me he's due for 11, 12 sacks if he plays the whole season. Right. And so I know that you're losing Jadeveon Clowney. I know that you've lost Patrick Queen. But, we've touched on it before, Josh. Patrick Queen, system player.
System player. Roquan kind of made him, right. So that's not really a loss. And addition by subtraction because now you get Trent Simpson in there. And, I'm sure he's going to be just as good, if not better.
Well, I saw the tape week 18. Trenton Simpson has the possibility to be the biggest loser of anyone because he played in that week 18 game against the Steelers and everybody was like, this kid looks good. And then if he comes out next year and he looks like a deer in the headlights, then
Patrick, I don't know what we're doing. Are we really reporting on somebody potentially having the chance to be the biggest loser? We're not doing that here, Patrick. It's not.
We're not doing that.
He has the potential to be great, and that's what we're excited about. Now, I will say, Kyle Van Noy, the only downside of having him come back is the McAfee interviews. It was. I was glad that we had a Raven on McAfee, which feels good. Feels like maybe he wasn't the guy who knew the culture the best.
Yeah, but now he knows. Now he knows even more.
Right. He's in a year. Maybe that helps. I do think it helps, though. You touched on it. Losing Jadeveon Clowney, I did not like that. Turns out we don't have any money, though. So, I guess.
Well, but Josh, you got to remember, though, we lose Jadeveon Clowney, but this is like adding somebody at the trade deadline because we got a guy that didn't play a snap last year.
Didn't.
And his name is David Ojabo. And if history tells us anything, He's going to play every snap this year. He's going to have no injury concerns. So, he's obviously going to take the next step.
That would be nice. That'd be nice. But remember, everything aside, we got Derrick Henry. So, what does it even matter?
Yeah, Derrick Henry. The defense is never even going to have to play defense.
Right. Well, that's the thing, because that's what you have to remember. Even if we give up a score every single possession, right? Mm-hmm. We just have to score every single possession and take longer to score than they do. Because if we have 10-minute drives every time, the other team just doesn't have the ball.
Yeah, Josh, are we in the trust tree right now? We're in the trust circle.
Sure.
I don't know how excited I am for Ravens football.
No, don't say that.
I don't.
Because he's not going to be every snap.
No. I'm not talking about Derrick Henry. I'm talking about the Ravens.
No.
What more do we have to see? What is it? You're just going to get my hopes up again?
I know.
Because clearly nothing that we do in the regular season matters. It has zero bearing on how we are.
And that's the tough thing. The fact that I had to wait until January to figure out if my team's going to be good or not is frustrating. Right,
because the Ravens, just their team themselves, have turned themselves into an NBA team where the regular season just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They could go 18-0, and I'm still going to be like, can they even win an AFC championship?
I know. That's the tough thing about it. And the thing is, last year's roster was so good.
It's the best it's ever going to be.
It's the best it's ever going to be. And yes, Derrick Henry, nice. That's great.
It's great.
Maybe Keith Mitchell comes back healthy, and that's going to be awesome.
Is he guaranteed to come back this year?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But we got Dalvin Cook on the practice squad, I think.
Nope. He just doesn't have a job.
Well, he might be. So he's going to be on the practice squad.
No, he's not.
He might be.
I don't think. Are we sure Dalvin Cook's going to even play in football this year?
I don't know. I'm sure we'll bring in somebody.
We did. It's
Other
Derrick
than-
Henry.
Getting-
Derrick
no,
Henry.
I heard,
Our-
legends have it that we're going to bring in J.K. Dobbins for a 1-year prove-it deal.
Really? Because, I mean, legend tells me he's going to reunite with Greg Roman in L.A.
That team is one of the weirdest teams ever assembled.
Yeah, considering that J.K. was, like, very mad that Greg Roman didn't give him the ball more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at what point was he running on one leg? It feels like he's been running on one leg for a while, so.
He hasn't been healthy since his first season.
Right, exactly. So I mean that's tough. Speaking of tough,
He's
OBJ.
like the Madden player. It's Donald Driver. He was out there with the broken leg going down. Josh, you never seen that video?
Mm-mm. Oh
guy's
yes, I
playing
have.
like-
Yeah.
Yeah, he's playing like Madden 05, and he's got Donald Driver out there on a broken leg, but he's putting the team on his back.
Right, I've seen that. Yeah.
That's J.K. Dobbins in real life, but except he's not putting the team on his back.
Not right now. I think he's not doesn't have a team to put on his back.
Oh, I was gonna say, I don't know if he has a back. Like it might all be metal.
We don't know. He's doing whatever Aaron Rodgers did, so I'm sure that would be
Right, but
healthy.
J.K. never said, "Hey, I'll be back this season."
right. That's fair. We don't know. OBJ, Raven, gone.
Former.
He's potentially going to be in Miami. Well, not potentially. Tyreek Hill says it's a done deal. Now, the way this show works is by the time this episode comes out, Tyreek Hill's already going to be signed to Miami. I mean, OBJ is already going to be signed to Miami, and that news is going to break as we're posting, and all this conversation is going to be meaningless. But you can hear it here first. If that happens, we already knew because Tyreek told us.
And we've been reporting him for weeks that they've been linked together, OBJ and Miami,
Right.
and we talked about it. Kim Kardashian, she would probably show up to the
Yep.
games in Miami.
Right.
She'd be all, it's her, Alex Earl. Imagine that, unstoppable forces.
But they broke
right?
up, so
Right. So we can't even talk about that anymore. So it lends me to think here, Josh,
what's that?
that if it hasn't been reported by CT ESPN and Antonio Brown, I'm not sure that it's a real deal.
Right, and you'd have to imagine he's got sources close to that building at least, because if you think about it, ready, in Florida, he's played in Florida. He's probably.
Right.
I have to imagine that there's close connections in between the people in that industry in that area.
Well, I don't
right?
know how close, but I imagine there is a connection.
There's some connection,
Right.
like maybe like LinkedIn at least.
Yeah, that's true. And we're not even talking about like following the page. We're talking about like a true connection.
Like true, like, hey, we're connected. And then I'm trying to think, let's see here. Antonio Brown played for both the Steelers, Patriots,
Boom.
and the Buccaneers, right?
Yes, and the one Patriots game he played was where, Josh?
In Miami.
Yes.
So you're right. There it is. Okay, I was looking for that connection. We found it.
Yep.
So he's got connections in the building for sure.
1,000%.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how that business goes for him. I think it's a business venture that will, at the very least, I mean,
He's got the Michael Scott motto. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
right now. I mean, ESPN is in a wild spot. Do they? I think they should give him a chance. Like, imagine like
Cease and
CT
desist?
ESPN on ESPN would be sick. That'd be the best.
I think the best chance of that happening is Pat McAfee inviting
I don't
Antonio
know.
Brown.
I don't know if McAfee gives him the invite though. The only issue is the legal trouble. That's I think the biggest problem there.
McAfee said he's a big fan of his work.
He's done some. He's made my life more entertaining.
My
My biggest video to date ever is because of Antonio Brown.
What he did for Jack Golke and naming him a certain player of the day or a certain
Right.
person of the day.
Right.
Jack then talked about him on national TV. So,
Right. So that's true. It's all good press for him. But I do think if OBJ does go to Miami, like this is classic Miami.
It's awesome.
They just
It's
they're
awesome.
like they don't change the motto at all. They're like, we're gonna just load up on wide receiver weapons, and we're gonna be so good in September
In October.
and October, and it's like at some point, do they? I don't know if they just don't get it or like
But
the
Josh-
Ravens beat
Josh,
them by like
look-
50. The Ravens beat them legitimately by like 40, 50 points. Like when they were competing for the number 1 seed.
Right. But then you start looking around, Josh, and you start going, well, our whole defense got hurt, and that's like kind of not our fault. Okay. Then you start looking around and you're like, well, we got a running back that's scoring like 30 touchdowns. And you're like, I don't know if that's the problem. And then you bring in and you have a wide receiver room of Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and OBJ, and you're like, I don't know if that's the problem. And then you look at the stats from Tua, and you're like, I think he's good enough. So then,
So you're saying the issue is Mike McDaniels. What's the issue?
well, it's clearly probably their punter. I mean, they probably don't have a good enough punter to be able to. It's field position issues, Josh.
Okay. I could see that.
Remember, it's never the coach's fault.
Dude, you want to have a crazy dream? I mean, not that anybody cares, but I did have a dream the other day that, and I kid you not, I was rescuing these people from these abductors, and I came in a helicopter team, and Mike McDaniels was one of the people in the cult, and I shot him. So, and I don't think I'll ever take the image out of my brain. It's with me forever.
Thanks for sharing.
Kate's just gonna walk in front of the camera, not around it, whatever.
Thanks
But-
for sharing, Josh.
Anyway, Stephon Diggs spent $100,000 for the number 1 jersey. Now that seems to me like that's a vanity purchase, and it seems like a lot to pay for 1 year. That's just me. I don't know what you think about this, Patrick, but to me personally, I would not spend that. And you know how I know it's a bad financial decision? Because Kirk Cousins was on the Shaquille O'Neal podcast the other day talking about when he was trying to get the number 8 jersey, and he was like to Kyle Pitts was like, I'm ready to move on. You know, you could have the 8. And he was like, yeah, sweet, I'll have the 8. And they were like, good. And then the NFL's like, no, dude, you got to spend like $100,000 to buy all the Kyle Pitts 8 jerseys. And he was like, oh, no, I'm good. I'm not doing that. And I can tell you what, Kirk Cousins has made significantly more money in his NFL
Significantly.
career than
Yeah, but he
Stephon
didn't go to
Diggs, and
Maryland.
he's not
He
writing
didn't-
that check.
Yeah, but he didn't go to Maryland. I mean, you're talking about Terp. Imagine the alumni base he's got.
Right. That's fair. But it does feel like also Kirk Cousins is going to be in Atlanta a couple more years maybe than Stephon Diggs is going to be in Houston. So if I'm just
Well-
doing the math 1-to-1 there, feels like maybe that wasn't a good financial decision. But hey, maybe Kirk Cousins is just a prude and doesn't want to spend his money.
I actually think Stephon's going to have like one. Well, I don't even want to say one good year. I think he's going to have a really good first 6 weeks. Because I think he's going to come out and he's like, I got something to prove. And then after the first 6 weeks, I'm not sure how good he's going to be, but he's going to be there. Hey, at the very least, he's going to be getting some cardio in.
At what point is he going to say, like, so when CJ Stroud, say he comes out and they're having a good connection, CJ's balling, because turns out CJ Stroud, good at quarterback.
Pretty solid.
At what point is Stephon Diggs going to be like, CJ Stroud's going to get being gassed up by the media, like, this dude's great. He's going to, he could be the next Patrick Mahomes. He could be the next Brady. At what point is he going to be like, well, don't forget, like, I made him. Like, at what point is he going to try to take credit for the success? That's what I got to know. Like, how far into that relationship is it going to be before he's like, okay, no, okay, he's good. Yeah, but come on, like, I
He's
took him
good,
to
but
the
he didn't
next
take
level.
that next step. Yeah, he
Yeah.
didn't take that next step until I showed up.
Right. I don't,
Yeah.
That's what I got. That's what I'm waiting for personally.
Well, I'd say after week 6.
Now, granted, the tough thing for Josh Allen is like, Josh Allen's not throwing to anybody, right? Like, he's got nobody to throw to, and so his actual stats might actually decline because I don't say it's necessarily on Diggs leaving as much as it is he just doesn't have any wide receivers, and that feels like that's part of the game. So Diggs is definitely going to feel good about the fact that even if he doesn't help C.J. Stroud, he's going to feel good knowing that I guess like in his brain, Josh Allen's production was a result of Stephon Diggs.
Right, but you got to remember the coaching staff that the Bills got in place, right? They got Sean McDermott, and he's going to try to get them to come together for one common goal.
Yeah, they're gonna come together, work one common goal, and you know that offense it's historically been an air raid kind of offense. Let the ball sail.
It's been explosive. They've had explosive plays at times,
and not necessarily known for the ground game, you know. And so, maybe they're gonna switch things up. But if I know Sean, he's not thinking that.
Yeah, well, and you got to remember he's traditionally a defensive coach, but he's been on the offensive. You know, he's not waiting back to see things happen. Right. He's on the forefront of causing chaos.
Right. So we're gonna see how that goes. Mm-hmm. We're excited to see. I mean, it's gonna be interesting when we know Diggs is gonna be a must follow on Twitter for this season, no matter what happens.
Well, he unfollowed his brother on Instagram.
Really? Both in Texas now.
Yeah, both in Texas, you know.
Well, here's the thing, though, because this is now I hear rumors that the Kansas City owner wants to go back to Dallas.
And just have two teams in Dallas?
Well, that's what I want to know. Are they kicking the Cowboys out? Because in that case, then they both wouldn't be in Dallas.
Could you imagine Jerry Jones like, yeah, I think we've done a really good job. We're going down to like Mexico City. It's the Mexico City Cowboys.
Well, and I do want to know, what is that like? What is who? So who? I don't know the name of the person who owns the Kansas City Chiefs.
It's the Hunt family, right?
Right. I don't know which Hunt though.
I don't think. Well, I don't know.
And this is the Ketchup family.
Oh, that might be a really good call out.
I don't know. I'm just
but they're not even. If it is the Ketchup family, they're used to coming in second place, but now they're winners, right? Because Heinz always, I feel like, was
Heinz
superior.
was, and Heinz doesn't even have a stadium anymore.
Right. So this is probably unfamiliar territory for them to be winning this much.
Right. And so they're just basically like, hey, we want a new stadium, and we want the people in the first of all, it's the ultimate scum. Like, if you're making so much money, these NFL teams are literally printing money, and they're like, oh, well, if the city doesn't help pay for the stadium, we're not building a new one.
Right. And I can understand. Look, I can understand the point that it's like, hey, we want some tax breaks, because we're going to bring jobs or whatever.
Right. And also, it does bring money to the economy. But the
Kansas City Chiefs
stadium is literally in like a field with a parking lot around it. I don't know what businesses are getting supported on game days in that county. I really don't. It literally is like just a stadium with miles of parking lot around it.
Right. And the other thing that feels like an issue is when you're asking for, people to we're not talking about a small percentage. We're talking about like a fairly large percentage that they're going to have to buck up on the bill.
Right.
I think there's certainly some conversation that can happen. But, maybe the ketchup business isn't going well right now.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how the ketchup business is going. But I know this. I know that the county already said, no, we're not paying for it. They said, hey, we're
citizens, yeah.
They said, we're not doing it. And so then he's like, okay, well, I'm going to Dallas. Now, I don't know if he's agreed with, they have an agreement or how that works. Is there going to be two teams in Dallas?
Like, why Dallas? Like, why did he pick Dallas?
Well, that's where I think they were originally from.
I know, I understand that, but he could have picked anywhere.
That's right? Like the Ravens saying, screw it, we're going back to Cleveland.
Yeah, it's like, I know that ain't what I think it is. Like, I know. And so,
that would be awesome. Like, if they just, because I'd love to see what Jerry Jones would say about another team coming to Dallas.
Yeah, but it'd be better if he was just like, screw it, I'm going to Kansas.
Well, I think, I think a better would be like, instead of going, hey, we're no longer the Dallas Cowboys, we're going to be the Fort Worth Cowboys. Like, I think that
Could
would
happen.
be better. So then you got the Dallas Kansas City Chiefs,
The,
And you got
the
the
Dallas, Kansas City.
and then oh, sorry, you got the Dallas Chiefs,
You got the
and
Dallas
then,
Chiefs.
and then you have the Fort Worth Cowboys.
Who would win in a fight? A Chief or a Cowboy?
Now, I'm not sure if that matchup came in my bracket that I went through. I do believe if history tells us anything, it's
Oh,
it's
no,
pro-
that's right.
it's-
Oh, no.
I think we know the answer to that.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
yeah, and that's unfortunate for that specific matchup in history. Yeah,
Specifically American history.
got to do better, Pat.
Yeah, that was a bad. Yeah.
You got to do better. So then
Next topic, Josh. Next topic.
moving on. We gotta have some justice for Mason Rudolph. They just stole his number and gave it to Justin Fields. After all Mason Rudolph did for that franchise, he was the
Everything he
most
went through.
consistent quarterback for the last 3 years for that team. And now they're just gonna say, "Hey, we're stripping your number. We're giving it to Justin Fields, and screw you." Is kind of what they said. Now we have to remember that Mason Rudolph, he actually got assaulted for the Steelers.
Physically.
Now
Twice.
he
Twice.
we don't know what he said, if he said
Well,
anything.
he got assaulted by Earl Thomas in an actual game. And then he got assaulted by Myles Garrett.
Right. Now, we're not saying Myles Garrett won, whether it's deserved or not. We don't know.
We don't know. We don't know.
We have not. I don't think we'll ever know on that one.
I would love it if 10 years from now we had a hot mic tape that just came out and we could
Oh,
get the
dude.
story. That's
That'd be
wait,
so-
what was said?
Because, by the way, we know there's that mic tape. There has to be.
Some, or at least some camera caught that.
So it has to be, but we don't know. And so they're just going to strip it. And if you're Russell Wilson, you got to be shaking in your boots, right? Because they're already stripping numbers, giving it to him. Because remember, there was a solid day there where Russell Wilson was the guy.
Guy.
In Pittsburgh.
And he was already in the building. He's trying to change that culture.
Right. He flew out. He left. By the way, I did not know this, that his kid is named Future.
Is that one is Future Kid?
That is Future. So he's actually
So
raising
Future too.
Future's baby named Future.
Gotcha.
Which is great for him. That's a great dad move.
Well,
You know?
maybe that's what Future wants.
Maybe.
Think about it. Think about it. He's been notoriously wishing lots of people Happy Mother's Day in the month of May. So maybe that's what he wants.
See, what I think a better thing to be would be, I think at this point, Future needs to change his name to Present. Hear me out.
No.
No, because if he turns it out the present, his son is Future, and then when Future has kids, then Future's kid becomes Future, then he becomes present, and then Future becomes past. Does that make sense?
Wait, but what I'm hearing is it sounds like Future has a lot of kids, right?
Right.
There's got to be a special connection with Sierra to name that kid Future.
Well, was that the first or no?
I see now we're getting into a bit of history that I don't know, Josh.
I don't know either. But
Because if
I
it
do-
wasn't the first and it was just a random sixth, and
no,
it was
you're
you know what?
Future.
This one's Future.
This is the one. But his name's not actually Future, right? That's his that's his rap name.
No, 100%. He was named Future out of the womb.
So that's I mean, that's like Lil Yachty naming his kid Lil Yachty.
Yeah, well, that's from the Jersey Shore, naming your kid Snooki. I don't think that.
Wait.
I don't think that's how that works.
Wait a second. Is that okay? Just naming your kid your nickname. That's a wild move.
But that's great. That's actually a smart move because Future doesn't need to name his kid Future 2. It's just Future because he's technically not the second.
Right. That's so true. So he's not Future Senior.
No, that would be
Okay.
awesome if he had a jersey name that was Future Senior.
What is Future's real name? Future's real name. Oh man, there's a reason. It's Nevadius Demon Cash.
Look.
No, but he changed his last name to Cash.
Oh, so this isn't even
Because
real.
it previously was Nevadius Damon Wilburn.
Question: do you think if he just went with Wilburn, you think he sells as many albums? I'd say probably no.
I don't think so. So justice for Mason Rudolph in that situation.
Right.
Arch Manning has a mural in Texas, and it's not a good one. And now people are wondering, is he going to hit the transfer portal? Because I don't think he's going to start this year because it seems like Quentin Newer is coming back. And now he sees that mural. Is Arch Manning thinking maybe we hop on a train, head somewhere else? I know the trendy thing right now is maybe go to Ohio State because that's where Bronny's allegedly going. He just hopped in the transfer portal. So
what if, hear me out, Josh, what if he just goes, hey, I'm going to take this year, next year, and then I'm going to be the next quarterback of the Dallas Chiefs?
Man, that's
Stay in Texas. Could be Mexico City Cowboys.
That job might be up, but I mean,
sounds like it might be up after this year.
I have heard that. Now, Cowboys have made 0 moves, which is a wild thing to do.
They didn't contact Derrick Henry.
That's kind of what the Yankees did this year, and it seems to be working out for them.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that more, considering that the Yankees did trade for one of the top 5 players in baseball, Juan Soto. They also traded for another outfielder called Alex Verdugo from their arch rival.
Okay.
And they did pick up a starting pitcher named Marcus Stroman.
Okay, so then maybe they made a few moves.
Yeah, just a few. They only made a few.
Okay, whatever then. Fine.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's why you don't incorporate baseball into this, okay? But I do think it's gonna be interesting to see what Arch Manning does because personally,
Josh,
if I was him, I wouldn't want to sit another year.
That mural's awesome now.
It's like somebody said, "Hey, I'm gonna paint my first mural." They said this is gonna be number 1 because you got to start somewhere, right?
Right.
But they said, "Okay, who am I gonna paint it of?" They're like, "Okay, in Texas. Okay, who are some Texas legends that I can paint?" I mean, technically speaking, could paint Justin Tucker, but he's too he's too high. It's too much pedigree. You know, I can't make my first one look. That's going to be maybe not my best one of a legend like him, you know, I can't do maybe. There's some Cowboys legends that maybe I could paint, but no, I'm not sure if that's I'm ready for that. I don't want to do them a dishonor, but you know what? Arch hasn't played yet, so he's a great starter one. So they go out and they do the first one of Arch because they didn't, in no disrespect, but they didn't want to potentially disrespect some of these legends.
It's very funny because, Josh, typically I've never done a mural myself, but I imagine there's a lot of hours, a lot of work that goes in.
Right.
And typically, if you're putting that many hours and that much work in, there generally is a better product that comes out of it. Because I can tell they put in a lot of work.
Now, I'd like to know maybe... did they paint all the colors around him too?
I don't know. Or is this supposed to be like an AP US history thing where they're like, this is a silent protest to show that Arch Manning isn't putting his name into the new NCAA football game?
Oh, wow. That's so true. Now, are we sure? I haven't seen him in like a year. Maybe are we sure this isn't what he really looks like?
I mean, he did play. He legitimately did play in the fall. So
right, I haven't seen him.
So he's not in Whip Pro.
I haven't seen him in a minute though.
But he's not in Whip Pro.
Now, do you think that there's a chance that we can maybe just put a helmet on that and we would never know if it's good or bad?
Oh, yeah, put the face mask in front of it? That's actually a brilliant idea.
I think that to me, if I was struggling with painting a face, I'd just put a helmet on there. Then you just don't know. Like that.
I think you just fixed it. Well, maybe you gotta wait to put that on if he starts playing and he plays good.
Right, okay. So we'll figure that out. Ohtani's lying again. I mean, what's new? He said he met with a fan who
Just
had
didn't.
his first home run ball for the Dodgers, did not meet with the fan. Now, are we hearing that from his translator? I'm not sure. I don't have the full stats on that. And is his does he have a new translator? I have not gotten word on that either. So those
Well,
are
he
two
definitely
things.
has. He definitely has a new one.
He does.
Could you imagine keeping the same old guy around? That
Well-
would be awesome. That would be.
Well, that's what I don't know, because I do remember the day that the allegations came out that the guy had stolen like $4 million from Ohtani. He was buddies with him, like hanging
Yeah, but
out.
that was Josh. You got to remember that was hours before. A lot can change in a couple hours.
right. It just feels like maybe he would probably have been ahead of that story and maybe known, and it just seems a little fishy to me. So I don't know. Maybe he says, hey, maybe to validate that picture, he just says, I'm a big forgiving guy.
Maybe that's what it is. We don't know.
I love forgiveness.
Although, if I was Otani, I would just start telling the truth. Maybe.
Dude, I'd just start going to like English classes and like not need a translator. First thing I'd do, which easier said than done. And
Way easier said than done.
and I get it. I understand. Okay.
Oh, actually, what I would do is I would just use Google Translate. so
yeah,
I
dude.
would- Yeah.
Oh,
I would just
100%.
use Google Translate.
Yeah, there's a thing you can speak into it and it speaks out. Yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
That's one. And then two, I'll just start, yeah, right. Like you said, I'll just start telling the truth. Now,
Yeah.
I feel bad for the fans. So basically, for those of you who don't know, the situation happened. Ohtani hits his first home run ball in the as a Dodger. The girl who got the ball, she just doesn't. She didn't really want to give it up, but they kind of forced her, and basically gave her crumbs. And they said, if
Yeah.
you keep the ball, we're not going to authenticate it, so it's not going to be worth anything. And then the Dodgers pretty much bullied this girl into giving the ball up, which big financial mistake. And then Ohtani basically lied about giving her a fan experience.
Yeah. Hey, we are a pro fan podcast. Well,
Right.
YouTube show.
Right. So I feel bad for that. So I personally, if I was that fan, here's what I would do. I don't know what you do at this point. Do you rob? You have to rob the ball back?
Nah, I don't.
Do you sue?
Sue's always the way to go. And I don't think you have a chance to win, but you at least
Yeah, you got to
create
go
some
against the
public storylines.
Dodgers. That's
Yeah.
okay. Here's what I would say. I would say I'm going to make your life a meet, because here's the one thing that she does have. She has the media, and she can make
She
some
does have
people
media.
outcry, and so she could. I'd say, hey, I'm doing talk shows after talk shows. I'm lying.
What if she
Everyone.
just started? What if she just started lying? It was like, actually, I met Shohei. He told me he gambled with me on whether or not I could keep the ball.
Yes, that. So like she threatens them with that, right? And then here's what personally this is what my demands would be. I'd say, okay, listen, I don't want the ball back, but I need to get 5 at bats
5 at bats
In
and
a
season
game.
tickets for life.
and season tickets for life, and I get to pick when the 5 at bats come.
Right. I'm the manager in that scenario.
So maybe come October, I got 2 at bats left. Yeah, you better believe I'm stepping in. Okay,
2 outs, bottom of the ninth, down by 1, bases loaded. I'm coming in.
right. So like that's
Could
that's
you imagine that? Just imagine the media coverage. And it's like, yeah, so like they made the deal. So unfortunately, they still had 2 at bats left, and they thought they could come through.
That's to me what I would do. That'd be the best situation.
The
ever.
manager has to come up after the post game, and it's like, guys, like this was not my decision. I just want to make that clear.
It was like either this or like we lose Ohtani.
Yeah, and like we may lose Ohtani anyway. But we didn't want
right.
to. Yeah.
What I think would be like the best thing in baseball, though, and I've talked about this before, I think that every team like is required to pull one random fan from the stadium to have an at bat. Just one at bat in a game.
Just one.
And it's like a random raffle. And like if you're in the
Good
stadium,
perspective.
you could be pulled, you're in the game. I think that'd be a great idea. Anyway, guys, that's the show. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Appreciate you guys watching, listening, and we're gonna see you guys on Monday for another episode of Josh and Pat. You guys have a wonderful day. A peace.